Hi, welcome back. Now, in one of my previous videos where I got new VICMARK chuck from Craft Supply USA, a lot of you asked about which jaws did I order and why, and if I could explain a little bit about the range of jaws that I have at the moment. So this video will be about that, but also a little bit on design and how to improve by only using one tool. So stick around and you'll see all that in this video. Now the chuck that I got from Craft Supply USA is this one. This is VM120 from VICMARK with standard jaws on it. Now these are perfectly fine. However, for these smaller diameter jaws, I really think that shark jaws like these are much more useful. Now there are multiple sizes obviously, and I have with this one 3 sets, and I'll explain why did I choose these. And I bought these from Hope Woodturning in UK if you are in Europe and you would like to buy some VICMARK stuff. So in this video where I unbox the new chuck, I also said that I want to upgrade this. This is one VM100 chuck with 100mm dovetail jaws, and for this, like I said, I want to get step jaws, and these are designed by my mentor Richard Raffan, and I'll explain a little bit more about these as well. So what I'll do real quick off the camera is switch these around, and I'll show you once I'm done. So I assembled these two chucks back together with new jaws, and ideally I wanted to have this in a different arrangement. So I wanted to have on a bigger chuck step jaws, and on the smaller one this sort of size shark jaws. But the Hope Woodturning store did not have the step jaws for the bigger chuck, and the store in France only had step jaws and did not have the shark jaws. So I decided to go this route because from one store I could get both of the pieces, and for now this will work. And as I move along, again, I'll probably buy another chuck body and get the jaws that I need, or the one step above. Now what I mean by that is the reason I went for this kind of setup, and you know by now that I like to grip like small foot or beads or grooves on the boxes, let's say decorative boxes. So even if you are a turner, you are actually scratching your head, how was this hold on the lathe? So that's my sort of party piece, let's say. I like that kind of feature. So what I have here, I can grip from a range of 34mm diameter, so perfect diameter, or slightly less than that will fit in this smaller shark jaws. In this one 41mm diameter, in this one will fit 64 or slightly less than that mil, and here in the step jaws you have this range here. The smaller step will grip 45mm, the middle one will grip 70mm, and the bigger one will grip 83mm perfect diameter, or slightly less than that. So basically I've covered a lot of gripping options that I like to use using just these 3 shark jaws, and for the bowls I have this range here. Again, with a bigger chuck with the VM120 step jaws, you have extra 1 or 2 steps, which again you have bigger range, which is something that I would prefer, but again it wasn't possible at this moment. So that's something for the future. So that's my take on this. Now by any means you don't have to have this kind of assortment of chucks and jaws. You can have only one body and all of the jaws that you want, and switch around. Now what I did find that, for instance, when I take it off this chuck with original 100mm dovetail jaws, I put that jaws on, I believe, roughly 2 years ago, maybe 3 years, something like that, and I barely loosened the screws. So you have to be careful how much you tighten them, and over time they just seize up inside. So changing jaws constantly is for me at least, I don't like that kind of process. So I really prefer, and it's much faster to just get another chuck body and range of jaws that you want. And again, you really don't have to use all of these. When I started out turning in my own shop here, I only had one SC3 record power chuck with standard jaws, and I would just adapt my work, whatever I was doing, bowls, platters, plates, with only that set of jaws. And I would expand on a different occasions. You actually get quite creative on the way you want to hold and mask how you hold that piece. So you really get your creative juices flowing. So again, you don't have to have this kind of setup, but it's creature comfort, and it makes my life a lot easier, because once again, I can just swap the entire chuck, put the one I need, and for instance, I can grab a really a small foot, let's say, or a decorative bead on the outside, which I'll show you a little bit later. But now let's focus on the step jaws here and how this can improve on your design of your bowls or your form, let's say, on the outside. I have the step jaws now on the spindle here, and once you arrange the jaws in a perfect circle, you get again 45 mil on the smaller step, 70 mil on the middle one, and 83 on the bigger step. And if you add to that 40 mil of travel, you will see why these jaws can be really useful, especially for rough turning bowls, because you don't have to change jaws, you just expand or contract to whatever size you need. Now, I went to forum the other day, and I did a little bit of research, and what I did found that a lot of turners have struggles with using properly these step jaws, and most accommodated with those struggles is using the inner steps. Now you have two steps on this one, and you have extra one or two with the bigger chuck steps. So most of that struggles are associated, they cannot grip with the inner steps. And the other one is that these jaws are only 5 mil deep, and I will make a separate video on this topic, on how to cut, or how at least I go about this, cutting tenons and recess and all that fun stuff. But you don't need any larger tenon than 5 mil to get a nice perfect grip. Even if you're coring out, you don't just have to use that like big tall foot. You just won't get any much strength, and especially with the recess, like going 10 mil deep recess doesn't give you much more strength versus half of that. So just bear that in mind, and you'll see I have a range of bowls here that will fit inside. Some will grab on the corners here, the other won't, and explain why. And this will again help you out, sort of get in better design of your shape and form. And so basically it's hard to invent something that was already done by hundreds of years ago. So that's at least my opinion on this. And throughout the years we already know and feel what feels in your hands good, and some other stuff just doesn't work, or the size of the foot can also vary if the item will be useful or not, and I'm going to cover that in a few minutes. So again, I do understand that these jaws can be a little bit intimidating for someone that doesn't know how to yet cut a nice tenon or a nice foot to grab. So these can be a little bit intimidating, but these are really useful, and again, this will sort of direct you in a better design opportunity, let's say. At least that's how I look at it. And I think Richard did article on this in I believe American Woodturner magazine years ago. I could not find it, but just search for it, and if you have old magazine, try to find it and you will see. This is a rough out walnut bowl that I have to finish today, and another one like this for the client. And now let's just pretend for a few minutes that these are finished form. So these are not rough out, so they are, let's say, finished. So what I would judge this bowl, is it nice or not? First of all, it has a too wide of a base. Now it may be stable, but it's clunky and it doesn't look all that appealing, at least not to me. So I already drew here a little bit, and I did film this yesterday, but I wasn't happy with the sound, and so I have to do it again. But what I would do here or what I should be doing is get this shape a little bit better like this and get smaller foot. Now anything, and sorry if you hear in the background, we have a dam in front of our house, close to it, and dirt bikes likes to drive there, especially on the weekend. So if you have the foot roughly 1/3 and a little slightly bigger than that, let's say, this will still be really useful piece, but it won't rock or be tippy. So that's what I would do on this piece. So get the smaller foot and get the shape here a little bit better. But this will this will fit on the inside. I could grip with a bigger step, or I can expand the jaws and grip with the inner step, the middle step, and this will mark the wood a little bit here. You can see. But if this is rough out, then this won't matter too much. But if it's a finished piece, then obviously I have to address these proportions here a little bit. So get a better shape on the outside and get a smaller foot if I'm using a foot, and that way it will be better proportioned bowl. Now I will mention as well towards the end how you can bypass these steps and use the inner steps without interfering here. So it's a really simple trick. Now this one, if you remember, I did a close-up shots video, and this is the walnut bowl that I use. Now this one is a little bit better in terms of proportions or design, but not perfect. And again, this is a roughed out bowl. It's not finished all the way, but you can see here a little lump, and especially here as well. But the foot is close to what I would consider a nice proportion for this size bowl, maybe a smidge smaller, but this one will actually fit, I believe, on the smallest step, and the jaws won't mark the wall here. So you can see that's on the inside. It's gripped really strong. It doesn't go anywhere, and just turn on the lathe, and you can see it's running true enough, or true as it was in that video close-up shots. So, and if I take it off, you'll see there are marks on the foot, obviously, because it's not the perfect size for these jaws, but there are no marks here on the face here, or the side wall here of the bowl. So this is again much better proportioned bowl, or better shape than the one on the left, and coincidentally it fits inside without these other steps or corners digging in. And hopefully that explains a little bit better in terms of proportion. Now I have several other bowls. Let's go with this one. So this is what I consider a good shape for a bowl. So nice. This one is quite tall for this size of diameter, and I use this for something. You can see a little ridge here. I expand that somewhere. So you can see a really nice flowing shape here, and you can see small tenon. And what I usually do, if I have the option, and if I envision this for the future, let's say, I can use this step here, this extra step, to be one day, let's say once the ball is dry, to be a foot, or I can use this one. So I can use all of this wood, and I don't use this step like other turners to get a better jaw, let's say, positioning, so the jaw will rest on this. If I'm doing coring, then I might do this, because you will get better support, because there is a lot of stress going when you're coring out bigger balls as well. So I might do this step, but for a smaller one, I like to do this in terms of design opportunity later down the road. So I want to leave myself more options, and this again will fit on, I believe, the smaller step. Yep. So, and without leaving the marks, or the other steps won't leave any marks, and you can see that's holding it there quite nicely. And again, it's rock solid. I cannot take it off. Now obviously if you have a big catch, then you might explode the entire ball, but that's totally different topic, let's say. So again, you can see there are no marks here on the side, and to me at least this is much better proportioned ball than something like this one. So even if I reduce the height, this will be a better proportioned curve here at the bottom. So how about this one? So this looks quite good in terms of design, but there is a major flaw with this ball if I'm going to sell it as a utilitarian ball, and that is it has a too small foot in terms of relation to diameter. Now what that means is if you place it on the table, it will just be really tippy, and it's really not hard to get it rolled over. So in my mind, this is great if you're making like a decorative ball, because it does look rather interesting, but in terms of like utilitarian useful ball, this is too small of a foot. Now the shape here is a little bit different, and because of this foot here, because it's too small, the points here or the corners will dig in slightly. So if I just grab that, again, it's nice and securely hold. There's nothing, you can see that's a bigger ball, and it's a little bit thinner, so I could break it if I massage it really hard. But the point I'm trying to make is this will leave some of the marks here, you can see on the side. If this was a bigger foot, as it should be on this kind of a, if this was utilitarian ball, then you would use 1/3 minimum base diameter for this ball, and this now at the moment is, you can see, almost like that will be 1/5 of the diameter. So we have to go wider, and if I did go wider, then these corners won't dig in. So that's another point to make. Now this one is similar in design again, but this has a foot that's a little bit better proportion to this size of ball. Now this one has a, you can see a lump here at this spot, and if that lump is nice and smooth curve without the lump, then the corners won't dig in. But in this case it will, but only the inner or the middle step. Again, this is nicely in. This one is quite warped. This is pear, but you can see, try to find the marks. Here we go. So here, not sure if you can see a little corner dig in, but that's really on this spot where this hump is. Not sure if you can see here this hump here. So if I remove that and get a little pleasant shape here, then the corners won't dig in, and the foot here is a perfect size for the this size of ball. So you can see here another example of this second step here. Let's say down the road, if I want to use this as a base, I can use, or I can use the foot itself or a tenon to make a base. So this will fit in a smaller chuck, a smaller step again, and this will just barely touch on the outside of the wall here because it's uneven. It's oblong shape because it's a rough out ball, but just barely you can see marks, or at least I can't find one at the moment here, but it's a better proportioned ball, let's say, than the original, the first one here from walnut on the left. So hopefully you can see that a little bit better. Now, how to bypass the steps here if you just want to make a bowl, let's say with your own shape, odd shape or anything like that, and you only have these step jaws. So what you can do, if you have the wood, now this is another rough out, you can just make a slightly taller foot, for example like this, and this has roughly 5 mil tenon here, which is plenty enough to hold a bowl, and this will again fit in the smaller step, and you have enough here room on the outside. I'll just show you this. You can see a lot of room here, and I'm just grabbing on that small foot, and again this is rock solid, it doesn't go anywhere, so it's perfectly fine, and you can bypass the other step. Now, does it look alright? Well, it has too tall of a foot, but if you have the wood, enough like tall wood, then you can make something like this and get the shape here, basically do whatever you want. So if you want more of a calabash shape or something like that, this will fit inside because you have make a little bit taller this foot here. So I do understand that perhaps the perfect shape bowl that will fit in this jaws may not like, or you may not like that shape, but if you extend that foot just a little bit more, then you can basically shape whatever you want on the outside and still have these steps without interfering, or the corners here, and still use the benefit of these step jaws. Now, what I have here as the final bowl is, this one is from the house, is one of my favorite and one of my first bowls ever, and he still has our original stamp on it. Now, I'm not doing this for years now because I just find this I much more prefer using pyrography pen and burn. Just makes more of a handmade item instead of like a stamp like this. But anyway, this shape or bowl is actually perfect example of good shape, let's say, or perfect shape on the outside. Now on the inside it's not that great, it has a little lump, or it's actually a little bit thicker here, but it's not that bad. But on the outside is what I would consider a really nice shape. So if I'm using a foot like this, decorative foot, then this one is, if you see here, it's 1/3 of the diameter. It's actually a little bit bigger than that, and the profile here, again, it's a really nice profile that will sit in your hand really comfortably, and it will be really nice, solid on the table as well. It won't be that tippy. And now, if you don't like this kind of decorative foot, then you can always take it off. You can jam chuck this, you can use between the centers, you can remove it. There's a lot of different ways to remove tenon if you don't like it. Now this one isn't perfectly matched for these jaws here, but these will fit, this ball will fit on the smallest step on the inside, and I have quite a bit of room here. Let me just show you if this will be visible enough. Hope you can see all the way down to the tenon. I have a gap around 2-3 mil until I reach the wall here, so this will fit on the inside really nicely. And I know this may be a little more biased, let's say, to this kind of shape of balls, but to me at least, not much of a fan of balls that are like going straight from the foot, much like a plates, let's say. So if you go like this and then out, I'm not much of a fan of that kind of shape. Instead, I really like this kind of profile. It again really sits nicely in your hand. And again, the design is variable, so you may like this kind of shape, may not. That's up to you, but this will sort of guide you in a correct way. And again, there are other ways that you can maybe do a taller tenon. Then you can do whatever shape you want here, and it will still fit on the inside. So hopefully this step jaws in this video are a little bit more clarified. I think is the right word that I'm looking, and these are really nice addition to every shop, in my opinion, because you can do so much with these and not worry about changing jaws. So if you're making a lot of bowls, especially if you're roughing out, this is a really nice addition to have, because you don't have to change chucks or anything. Just go with your production. And especially when I'm doing like 40 to 60 bowls in a few hours, I want to be as efficient as I can, and I don't want to change jaws or chucks or whatever. So just want to shape the bowl, throw it to the side, and flip it around, put it in a chuck, and the less step I have to do, the faster I am. So that's on the step jaws, and I really think you'll actually consider these as a sort of addition. And again, if you don't have the budget, you don't have to buy these immediately. If you go to VICMARK website, you'll find on the step jaws page, you will find sort of a diagram with measurements of each step or picture, and you can sort of print that, and you can place your bowl and sort of just rough guide to see if it will fit on the inside. And that will sort of navigate you a little bit in terms of design, and I think you will get better and better. You cannot get worse in that kind of situation, at least not in my book, because this will only help you out with design. So now let me just show you real quick something with new shark jaws. Roughly the shape I want, and this will be roughly where I can grab. But if I go, let's say, with small, let's go with small V grooves. So and you will see these are really maybe 1 mil deep, and they're not equally spaced. So but you can see this as sort of decoration, and I can even lose the foot here. So let's do that real quick. Again, let's make this round foot, so I can immediately finish this. Something like this. And I'll put the bigger chuck on, and we'll be able to grip one of these grooves and hold the ball, let's say, and to hollow it out. So I'll do that real quick. So I have the bigger chuck here with bigger shark jaws, and this should grip one of the rings. Let's try this one. So this one is too small, so let's go one up. Here we go, and that should be okay. So light pressure, you don't need much. This is running true on the outside. Now this, obviously this area here I didn't true up, but again, this is rock solid, and I cannot take this off. And wrong key, and if I take it off, you won't be able to see where I gripped. So just remove the shadow line here a bit more light. There we go. So you cannot see where I grab on these upper 3 or 4 grooves. You cannot see where I grab with the chuck. So you can see a lot of different kind of application for these shark jaws. And again, I was holding the ball on this side. You can see the eccentricity, the small ridge. Here it's a little bit bigger, but here it was only holding on small. And I hold with a nice pair of jaws like these from VICMARK, which are really nice crisp dovetail. I hold even less than like 1 mil. It was only good enough ridge just to stop it from sliding off, and it will hold quite okay. Now you cannot be aggressive with that kind of small holding detail, but on a regular situation this will work really beautifully. So I highly recommend shark jaws instead of like standard shallow profile jaws. So hopefully you like this little video on design and on chucks and jaws, and hopefully this will help you out on steer you a little bit in a better way of designing, because that was question a lot of times on how I go about design, and so this will sort of guide you. So you can always, like I said, print out that a measurement diagram from step jaws, and you can use that as a sort of a design gauge, let's say, for the outside shape. And you can see this one looks horrible, but this was just a demo piece just to show you what you can grip on really small details like this with shark jaws. So thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.